Anthony, sometimes we say things that we give people the impression we don't want to be bothered, but we do want to be bothered. We want to say, yeah, I'm mad, and I want you to comment on it that I'm mad so you can see I'm mad, even though I'm acting like I am not mad. I don't want to be bothered. But sometimes we really want people to comment on it, to say something about it, all right? And we may think we're isolating ourselves, but we actually are not. Okay, I had a woman tell me one time, we got into an argument. This is years ago, so all you women out there who think y'all know me, y'all don't know me. Anyway, I ain't the one to talk about. Y'all ain't the ones I'm talking about.
That's a whole different story.
That's 1,000 years ago. All right. And we got into an argument, and she got mad, and she went out and got into her car. And I just sat there and said, okay, bye. And I let her go. So later on that night, about 2 hours later, she called up and she says, are you still mad with me? I said, are you still mad with me? She said, yeah, I'm still sort of mad with you. I said, why? She said, because when I left your apartment, I went out and I sat in my car for a half hour waiting for you to come out and chase me. You know? So she isolated herself, waiting for me to come out and chase her, to recognize, how she felt. And that's what I'm talking about.
Welcome to Mended Men's Conversation, life lessons of legacy, where real men have real conversation. I'm Anthony Washington.
And I'm Titus Garnett, and we're here to dive deep into the struggles, victories, and lessons that shape us as men, from mental health and fatherhood to faith, identity, and purpose. Breaking the silence and starting the conversations that matter.
We have over 12 years of professional experience and over 140 years of combined life experience as fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, friends, educators. We are you. We know that healing starts with an honest dialogue. So let's get real. Let's get ready. Let's grow together. This is Mended Men's Conversation. Let's dive in.
Actually, good afternoon to me. Good morning to you.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And
Right.
everyone out there, my name is Titus Garnett.
And I'm Anthony Washington.
And welcome to this new version of Mended Men, where we are two old dudes that just had a lot of experience and a lot of things in our life that we're just having conversation. We're not trying to chastise anybody. We're not trying to get down and say who's right or wrong. We're just talking about our experiences and our opinions on different subject matter.
Having a conversation.
Just having a conversation. So what are we working on today, Mr. Anthony? Since he's the oldest of the two, Master Anthony.
I graduated. All right. Being with others versus being alone. What's the difference? What's the difference of that? Do you know how to be alone without being lonely? Let's talk about it. Balancing between solitude and community and why men need both.
Being alone, being with others,
Versus
and being
being with
alone.
others.
We are human beings, and as such, we are not meant to be alone. All
True.
right. We are meant to have some level of social relationship with other human beings. All right.
Okay.
But there are times we need to be alone. Before we get too deep into it, I remember you saying something about how when something's on your mind and when you want to commune with God, you want to be alone. You just take that and you go into yourself, or not only internally, but externally, you go into a quiet place or a quiet space where you're alone and not being bothered. Like right now,
True.
what I had to do was just make sure I locked my door so I could be alone on the conversation with you guys and nobody just bust in on me, right, and not be bothered. The first subtitle is Understanding the Need for Both Solitude and Community, Why Isolation Can Be Dangerous for Men, the Importance of Personal Reflection and Alone Time. That's pretty much what we're about to get into right now. But before we go into that part about why solitude can be dangerous for men, let's go back up to the subtitle, Understanding the Need for Both Solitude and Community. And one I just mentioned, when you want to commune within yourself or commune to a higher power, your God, your Lord, your beliefs, all right? And sometimes just to commune with yourself, all right? You need solitude and you want to be alone. And to be with
True.
community, we are a social construct. We are meant to be in a community. That community is of other people, includes your family. It includes people. It could be on your job, your career. It could be a church, synagogue, or wherever you go. That is a part of our natural setup as humans.
That. I believe that we all need to have that time to yourself. I believe I need to always have make that time for myself. You know, like my first job is with the chicken, the rooster up in the morning. You know, so before I do that, I just got to get myself together. I got to be by myself, breathe, stretch, pray, think about what my day is, what I need to do, how I'm go about it. You know, and then just ask for strength, follow through on it. You know, learning to be consistent. I mentioned to you, I think it was last week, the 3C, 4 C's, 4 C's. Consistent
Right, you did, and you were supposed to come back with a dissertation on
with an
that
answer.
report. All right, let's go.
It's consistent. No, I just didn't just let it slip out my mind. The 4 C's is consistent, compatible, passion, and courage and confidence. So those are the things that I want to instill in myself early in the morning. Well, not just early in the morning, before I start my day. So that's my alone time. You know, I'm required that time in the morning. Well, in the morning, sometimes in the daytime, in the evening. You know, I just need to have that little time to myself so I can refocus and think about how I'm gonna respond to something or what I'm gonna do for something. I just need that time. And then, um, and like you said, we creatures. I need to be around other people. I like being around other people. Hear other conversations, talk, laugh. You know, conversate, disagree, agree. You know, so that's all part of human nature for me. You know, share how I feel, get input from other people of what they think about how I feel, and get their opinion of how they feel. You know, and just communicate. You know, so that's that for me. That's the solitude and the community, and learning to have balance with those two. You know, not too much of solitude, because that first question is why solitude can be dangerous for men. Yeah, it can be, because for me, too much alone time is dangerous. You know, I know I get up in my head and I start thinking shit, the world's in trouble. You know, so I need to be around other people. That balance, I gotta have that balance. You know, anything I do in life, I need to learn how to have some kind of balance in it. You know, I got to. You know, because I always say insanity has no bounds. I don't give a shit what color you are, how much money you got in your pocket. Insanity will invite themselves into your house. You know, and you just gotta know how to balance it, good and the bad. For me, no.
Well, isolation. You brought up a good point. The thing that came into my head about isolation is sometimes when we isolate ourselves, that sometimes we have an internal stress or an internal struggle going on. You know,
Right.
we're upset about something, mad about something. You know, people don't understand. People don't understand what I go through. As men, we do have responsibilities that women may not understand that we take on as men that we do that is not seen by others. And like your job, sometimes you could come home and you need to talk to your old lady about your job and she really don't want to hear it. All right. You know, or she really don't understand it because she's looking at her day. And you may not
Right.
have someone that will listen to you, appreciate or understand what you're going through, or just listen, period. So you just say, screw it, and then you just go into your own little world. All right. And you just wind up and then you have a party, a pity party,
Woo, Lord,
you know,
dude, I
and
thought
then
I
you
owned
just,
them bad boys.
yeah. So you just totally, you're lost. You're gone. All right. I'm sorry that I cut you off. You about to say something?
No, 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 no. I'm agreeing with what you said. What you said, I'm agreeing with.
Yeah. And sometimes when we go there, even when we get caught up in ourselves and we isolate ourselves and we tell ourselves, well, I just want to be alone. No, you want to isolate yourself. It's not truly just being alone. Isolation is alone in itself, but it's an isolation, I mean, you pulling yourself away from people because of maybe of an emotional state. All right. And you just want to pull away because you're mad and upset. But that's the time when we go like into that next question, the importance of personal reflection and alone time. When I
Right.
feel like that, when I thought, oh, you don't understand, you don't care, and I go off and I'm, kind of uh, upset, I got to check myself. I say, all right, why are you doing this? Why are you in this zone? Why are you pulling yourself out of a social structure and just want to isolate yourself instead of just being alone? That's not being alone for the purpose of inflection, but you mad, you're emotional. But
Right.
then you check
Any feeling.
yourself. You check yourself and say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Let me see where I'm at. Maybe that is the time I need to speak to a higher power. I need to change to get out of that pity party, and go into some reflection, some understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, what helped me a lot, where I experienced a lot of growth is I'm gonna say it like when I stopped drinking,
Uh-huh.
because that pity party used to be my best friend.
Uh-huh.
She don't like me. He's did this. Bullshit. I get
Right.
stuck in. And it taught me, how to look at the part that I play in shit.
Yeah.
Because I could blame you for a lot of shit. I ain't taking responsibility for shit. And
Yeah.
that's just why I used to get stuck. But it really got me into the point to look at what part did I play in this issue. One of the things I learned is that it's not about what I like, because that shit get me in trouble. I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like him, I don't like him. Nonsense. A distraction, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me started looking at the part that I play and and I can relate that to when you say the importance of personal reflection. When I can look at the part that I play, not from a negative point of view, but from a positive point of view, and basically ask myself, how can I do this different? If I did something to somebody, maybe I need to make an amends to 'em. And I started practicing that, and it helped me out a lot. And when I started practicing, I had less pity parties. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so that I believe that personal reflection time is important because it gets me to look at my part of the shit and what I did and how can I do this different? Because for me it's about how can I continue to move forward? Because I experienced a lot of, as I say, jumping in that rabbit hole. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
I used to
Mm-hmm.
dig rabbit holes for people, and then just go live there. So it helps me to stay out of the rabbit hole. Always trying to find a way, not trying, always finding a way to move forward. You know, do something better.
Mm-hmm.
I use that thing as a mistake. I don't look at it as a negative thing. I look at it as a positive thing because that gives me the opportunity to redo what I done, what I messed up. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 That pity party, you're in the pit, you're in the darkness.
Yeah.
All right. You gotta come back to some light and wake up and have some understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you're hugging yourself, you're being real tight and you're holding
Hmm.
on to something that's unnecessary in the first place. Because maybe you put yourself in there because other people may not be able to understand your circumstances. All
Yeah.
right. But
And that's
later on, we're going to be able to open that up a little bit more because there's some questions that's going to come up later that may open it up a little better. The next subject matter, the dangers of too much isolation, how
yeah.
loneliness affects mental health, signs of emotional withdrawal, and depression. There's a saying, you wear your heart out on your sleeve, or you wear your emotions on your sleeve. All right. In other words, what's going on internally, you will show it externally, even though you think you are not.
Let me
You
ask you
may,
a question. Is that a
yeah.
bad thing? Is that a bad thing?
For what do you mean? For your
If I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
In other words, I can see it. You don't think
Okay.
you're wearing it, but I can see it. All right. But the thing of it is, it's good and it's bad. Let's not talk in terms of good and bad. Let's
Okay.
talk in terms of what I see and what I don't see, and what you think you showing and what you're not showing. You go into your isolation area and you say you all pissed off and you having a pity party. People can see you having a pity party because your expression, the way you carry yourself, your body language shows something completely different. But your mind is telling you, I don't want to be bothered. All right. When you go in that isolation and I say, Aunt, what's going on, man? How you doing? And you say, just fine. But it's the way you say just fine. You look at me, go, just fine, man. Why?
But that's not the way you truly feel.
That's not the way you truly feel. There's something going on in there. It's how, you know, or the way you walk or the way you carry. And you ever been around somebody that you pissed off with and you driving in the car and they say, you know what? I'm feeling something here. You know, I'm feeling some uncomfortableness, you know, because you're exuding anger, but your body is exuding it, even though your mind is telling you, I'm isolating myself from you. But it's the way you do it. You can feel somebody pulling away from you. Your body language
Give them that silent treatment.
is giving the silent treatment. That's why they call it body language, because your body is speaking to the other people, to the environment, how you feel internally. Even though you isolating yourself, you're only isolating yourself mentally. But when you isolate yourself physically, all right, you are showing, I don't want to be around you. In other words, your body is physically expressing, I don't want to be with you. Say, hey, let's run to the, I'm running to the store. You want me to run with me so we can go get some liquor or some ice cream or whatever? And you go, no, man, you just go. All right. But your expression on your face is telling me you don't want to be bothered. Even though the way you say it, you may think you saying it like this. Oh, thank you. That ain't what you're saying. No, man, I don't want, I ain't going, you know.
Speaking out both sides of your mouth at one time.
Right. It's, you know, it's showing, and that can affect your mental health because if people don't pay you no attention, you know, Anthony, sometimes we say things that we give to people the impression we don't want to be bothered, but we do want to be bothered. We want to say, yeah, I'm mad, and I want you to comment on it that I'm mad so you can see I'm mad, even though I'm acting like I am not mad. I don't want to be bothered. But sometimes we really want people to comment on it, to say something about it. All right. And we may think we're isolating ourselves, but we actually are not. Now, mental health. Okay, go ahead, bro.
You know, I just had to cut in there because you made me start thinking is that, you know, when you do that, what you say, you know, you want somebody to just say, you want somebody to comment, you know, a lot of times you want them to agree with what you're saying. You don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, but you want them to comment first so they can say, all right, I got the message. Then what they say, if they don't agree, if they agree with you or not agree with you, that just creates a whole new situation. All right.
True.
But first they want you to recognize you want them to recognize that you're mad about something, that you're upset about something, and when you isolate yourself, you actually want them. Okay, I had a woman tell me one time, we got into an argument. This is years ago. So all you women out there who think y'all know me, y'all don't know me. Anyway, I ain't the one I'm talking about. Y'all ain't the ones I'm talking about.
That's a whole different story.
That's 1,000 years ago. All right. And we got into an argument and she got mad and she went out and got into her car. And I just sat there and said, okay, bye. And I let her go. So later on that night, about 2 hours later, she called up and she says, are you still mad with me? I said, are you still mad with me? She said, yeah, I'm still sort of mad with you. I said, why? She said, because when I left your apartment, I went out and I sat in my car for a half hour waiting for you to come out and chase me. You know? So She isolated herself, waiting for me to come out and chase her, to recognize,
Right.
how she felt. And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we do that, but that is not true isolation of what we're talking about here now. When you
That
talk
sounds like
about the
manipulate.
mental, that's manipulation, but they're utilizing isolation as a way to manipulate, but it didn't work. But true
Right. That's
isolation
right.
is a withdrawal from the social construct, and you can really do yourself mentally some harm because you don't know where you take it from there. Now, you mentioned pity party. Hell, you might want to look at revenge when you go
True
so
that.
deep into it.
It can go down a dead end street real quick.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about this, and well, I guess it's a little too early to get into that. You know, 'cause I was going to look at the other side of that. You know, as now, I'm gonna stay on point. Signs of emotional withdrawal and depression.
Hmm.
When I start like isolating myself, avoiding people because I'm in my feelings and I don't want to address the shit that I cause or whatever issue I'm mad at. I don't want to address it. I like and I like I like and I know that that might sound crazy, but sometimes when you're depressed, I ain't gonna say you like it, but you don't want to you can't get out of it. You're kind of like you're stuck. You know,
Are you saying that it's a good thing? Well, I don't want to say good or bad thing, but when you say you like that, is that a
unhealthy thing.
comfort? Is that a what?
It's unhealthy.
Okay. All right.
And why I say unhealthy, because I don't want, like you said, I don't want to put it in a good or bad category, but it's unhealthy for me because how I'm feeling is not helping me. It's stagnating my growth. What I need to
Uh-huh.
do, if I'm feeling a certain way, I need to be able to talk about it. I need to find a solution instead of isolating, because when you isolate for too long, it starts coming up. I become depressed and I don't want to be around people, because then
True.
like I said, I start thinking a whole lot of other negative things going in my head that, they won't be about me. They think this, you know, when you get up, when I get up in here, all bad. And I understand sometimes it's good, but for a long period of time to start isolating myself away from people, it's not a healthy thing for me. So I learned that, I have to learn to speak about my feelings, how I feel, and it don't feel comfortable talking about 'em, but it's something I need to do, not what I want to do. It's something that is it more of a need than a want, put it like that.
All right.
Because that isolation, that withdrawal, um, is a bad sign.
Let me add one thing, what you just said about when you're going into it real deep. It's also another addition to that is how often do you do it?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Does it become a consistent thing with you?
Habit,
All the time, every little argument, every little this, you go into this isolation zone. And that's what helps you get deeper and deeper into that mental
depression.
dark hole. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know something? This is Mended Men,
Right.
and that's what some of us do a lot of. I don't allow others to dictate to me how I think about myself. Getting back on our title, being with others or just being alone, I need to know who I am. I need to know
Mm-hmm.
how I function, how I
Mm-hmm.
feel, and
Mm-hmm.
how I heal. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand those pitfalls that I have within me. If that makes any sense. Because I was sitting there thinking how we talk about addiction and how I get depressed. Then next thing you know, I start doing things, putting things in me so I can mentally feel like I can feel better. And basically all that is just making me withdraw even more from my own reality,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
making it sense. So, and those are the things that I need to be aware of, that I, and the direction I don't want to go.
Yeah. 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 I understand. Well, because everything we're saying is leading into the next subject matter, what you just
Yeah.
started. I was about to make a comment on it till I saw the next subject matter, where it says,
What would you comment?
not when I'm leading to
Okay, all right. Don't push it. Don't push it. Slow it up.
now, lately, I just want to digress just a bit, but I've been
Okay.
covering your ass, all right? Because normally you
Hey,
you're
ain't
supposed to
that what it's
be
about?
you're supposed to be covering like 55, 56 minutes of this hour. And I got to jump in and stuff like that. Remember, you told me just be quiet, sit back, and you'll handle it. Remember, you said that. So now,
I said some shit like
I don't
that.
mean,
I said
yeah,
some shit like that.
well, but see, you isolated me. That's what you did. Okay.
Hey, hey, listen,
Yeah.
listen. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you
Sure.
coming, when you was coming up, did you ever play jump rope? You know, you seen
Yeah. Yeah.
girls out
Everybody.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
jump
you know,
rope,
you used to
working
get
out, this and that. Yeah.
good. So you know how to play. You know how this roll. Jump on in.
Let's get back on point here. You're starting to lose me. I'm starting to isolate myself from you permanently. You keep okay. That's all for Mended Men right now. We're gonna be isolating ourselves.
Oh shit.
Whoa. The point I was going to make, we talked about brotherhood before, about how important it is to have friends or relations or other men who are in your community, how they can have your back. The difference between somebody who's a friend, somebody who's an acquaintance. And when we're talking about this isolation part here, this is what I wanted to mention into it, is that this is why we need, when we isolate ourselves, this is why we need a good partner, somebody that has our back, that understands the position of men. All right. And I'm not just
Right.
talking about, I'm talking about males, talking about men, the things that we go through. All right. To be able to come to you and can honestly say, hey, what's up, man? Don't give me that bullshit. There's something wrong. You're carrying yourself, you're acting this, and that you respect and you will listen to and say, well, they make you think and they won't let you go. You know
Nah,
what I
they never
mean?
bother. Ain't nobody.
They won't let you go. They won't let you give up. They won't let you get lost in yourself, right? And the thing I wanted to mention to you is just that when it says in the title, being with others, all right, you got to know what's your relationship to the others that you be with. Are they just acquaintances or are they somebody that is truly there for you? Are they friends? Right now, people say, well, I got family. No, I'm like this. Sometimes family hurts you more than a stranger will.
Yeah,
All
they do.
right.
You think they are, they think they have that right to.
Right. They have the
Mhm.
right to, because I'm family. I'm supposed to kick you in your butt and you supposed to take it. No, it don't work like that.
No,
Because if you notice, talk to some people, some of their closest friends are not related. They're not related to them. Okay. So
it's true.
who is the others that you're hanging with? Who is your brotherhood? Now, your brotherhood could be just external other males or men that you know. Okay, that could be your brotherhood. But who is your tight brotherhood that is with you when they know you go, when you isolate yourself too much? When you find yourself, I could come to you, Aunt, and I'll say, are you ever gonna get out of your house? You there all day long, 24/7. And when I call y'all, man, I'm busy. I'll call you back. You never call back. Your old lady calls me up and said, listen, you got to come take a look at this man because he's just locked up in his room on the computer talking to that guy out in Atlanta. We gotta, we gotta pull him out of there and see what's
Then you
going on
fresh
there.
air.
Yeah, fresh air. Get off the computer, something like that. Are you isolating yourself when we was talking about the mental aspects of it because you have an addiction? And you brought that
Mhm.
up. That creates that. So, that's one of the points I wanted to bring out about who is your brotherhood and what is their accountability to you.
And that's important, But I like the point that you made that sometimes family is family, and I say that because I know I love my family. I love them to death. But I know I got some crazy people in my family, you know, and crazy, no crazy. I put it like
Yeah.
that. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna say nothing
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy, no crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, I learned over a period of time. I had expectation of what I thought family should be. But through the
Right.
years, I learned that,
Right.
you know, they're going to be family, but, you know, sometimes I need to put just a little bit more space between me and them,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and I learned that it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it ain't that I'm loving you less. It's just, I still love you the same, but I just need more space, you know, because
Yeah.
I can't handle that energy that you putting out, you know.
Right.
So I just keep my space. And when I'm there close to you, I deal with it. I mean, I got a cousin now, man. I love his dirty draws, but nigga is just off the chain. I can't put it no more than that. He's just off the chain.
Right.
But you know,
Right.
it's not that I don't love him less. It's just that I know that in order to have that relationship, with him, we had to have that space, you know. And it
Yeah.
and it is what it is. That's how all right, the next one, the impact of a strong relationship and on your personal growth. You know, basically kind of I know that I know that I allow them to have a strong impact on me if I let them. You know,
True.
and that's one of the
True.
things I learned is that, you know, nobody do anything to you not unless you let them.
Right. But because they have the impact of strong relationship on personal growth, it's like this. My karate instructor, he and my father had probably the greatest influence on me. All right. These were men who were strong in their boundaries. They were strong in their ways of being a man. They didn't stab you in the back. And the main thing is the word you don't hear a lot. They were honorable men. Okay, and you don't hear things about honor anymore
You took
because
you took
nobody even don't have an idea. They have no idea what that means now. Okay,
nah.
usually it was strictly a military term, but it was a term for men being able to trust men, to be vigilant, to be trustworthy, that you can go to them and they can keep what you tell them. They had your back, they would chastise you not because you made a mistake, because they know failure is a part of life and they wanted to train you and teach you from that.
Yeah, they want better for you.
Right. If you was with them, they didn't try to put you in situations that was dangerous or could get you in trouble. If you was a married man, they didn't take you places that would have an effect on your marriage. Why, take you to a strip joint or something like that, have you do something, because they're that way. These were two honorable men, and the reason I'm bringing them up because I was still growing at the time. My father, as my growth as a boy to a young man to a man, I looked at him, my karate instructor, as I was growing in the art. All right, he still showed how men acted in the yard, and not every man was out there for a piece of ass. Okay. There was, you had a family, you took care of your family, you did this, you did that. They were honorable men. And when you had an issue, if they said to you, "What's wrong with you?" you better answer. You know what I mean? You don't push them away like
Nah, they
that,
wouldn't allow you to anyway.
Right. They want nothing to play with. You enjoyed their company, but don't insult them or don't treat them lesser as a people. So yeah, that can help you grow. And we still growing as humans anyway, as men anyway. And the idea of having this podcast with you brings back a lot of good memories and a lot of areas we still growing into to cover.
And it makes me think about where I am and how I want to navigate from this point forward. Not that I've been thinking about it in the past, but now it's not about conversation. It's about the actions because
Yeah,
conversation is easy. Can talk all day long and
yeah.
have some good, meaningful, respectful conversation. But
Hmm.
if that actions doesn't follow the conversation, it's useless.
It's all talk then.
Yeah. And see, like you said, you had your father and your karate instructor, and what they were showing you is that, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I like. This is how I'm going to do it. You know, in the conversation piece. But
Mm-hmm.
what really, I'm gonna say for me, what hit home is their actions followed through.
Right.
It left no doubt
Right.
in
Right.
your mind that these are respectable men.
Right.
You know,
It's
so
how they carried themselves,
right, right, right,
you know?
right,
And that was
and that
important.
makes a difference, a
Yeah.
whole lot of difference.
Yeah. It's wow.
And you know something,
Yeah.
going to finding the right balance. That's what balance is about.
Right.
For me, when I can find somebody, not when I can find somebody, when I myself could do something, say something, and follow through on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I might not do it word for word. I might fall short in some areas, but the point of it is that I did my best. I got to tell. I'm telling myself I did my best. It didn't amount up to what I expected, but I know I put my best to it. So whatever I got out of it, I'm gonna take that and run with it and relook at how I could do this a little bit better. So
But
that's
it's
just
let me
go
add
ahead.
something to that is while I was being trained and taught by my father and my instructor, it's the idea that yeah, the way they carry themselves, but they did not teach or train me to be a copycat. They taught me to understand the responsibilities of what I was being trained for.
Because
So
your
I still
independence.
right, I still maintain my independence. They did not take that. All right. They didn't want that. They said, this is how we carry. This is why you carry yourself this way. These are the results of what you get. And I transfer that to my son. I raised him to be a father, but I didn't tell him to be a father like me. I said, take the mistakes I've done and better them. Okay. The things I did right with you, maintain them, but take them errors and better them. So to
Mm-hmm.
maintain so I don't chase his kids all over the place. I don't chase him all over the place because now he has to transfer that to his kids. Anyway, that's how we cultivate independence. We train, we teach those coming up, but we don't say, do what I do, say what I say. I used to say to my
Yeah.
son, I'm going somewhere and I'm going to be talking business or talking to someone or talking to a woman or talking to this and that. And I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to listen and see how I carry myself. So you carry yourself with that same type of respect, directiveness if you have to, but you always look, understand. All right, it's a process to this. This is the process of being a man. This is the process so you won't have to be isolating yourself from society because you are in society and you need
Right.
to
How
know
do you function in
how to
society?
deal with it. Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach you some do's and don'ts, but I also want you to get a feel of how you want to express this, how you want to
Mm-hmm.
look, how you want to put it out there of your, what you think of yourself. You got to do that. I was listening to what you were saying, and it made me think of my son because he's just 2, and he's so comfortable of you doing it for him. He
Mm-hmm.
do it. You do it yourself. He give it back to me. I give it back to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me think of that. I'm going to teach you independence. I want you to learn, but I want you to be comfortable of doing it yourself.
Right.
And that's you just made me think of that.
Yeah, there's just things that you do, and that's the power of setting healthy boundaries, all
Yep.
right? Because we are showing them ways of how to carry yourself, what to accept, what not to accept, and not just the idea of what to accept and what not to accept, but why you accept it, why you don't accepted. What are the results of your decisions, what they can be? So when you make a mistake, they say, okay, you made a mistake, and they explain to you what it was. I would get mad at my son when he was younger, and I punish him, but I go into his bedroom at night and said, okay, I had to punish you. Do you understand why I had to do this? And the reason I did it was because of this, this, and this. I'm gonna digress just a bit. My son, he went up to his school when he was younger, and he was in elementary school, and the teacher was in there, and they was having parent-teachers conference, okay? And she was saying, well, he's such and such, and, he could have done a little this, and he got caught doing this and that, and I looked at him, and he said, crap. I said, oh, really? I gave him that father look like, that's your ass, you know? And so I gave him that look, and he looked back with his eyes looking up like, crap, wait till I get home. And the teacher, she said, but he's so cute, so you got to forgive him. And I looked at her, and I said, cuteness ain't got nothing to do with this, all right? So don't tell me that. Don't give me a reason to justify he's cute, because then he'll think he can get away with crap because of his looks. And that has nothing to do with this, So sometimes you got to let him see, you speak directly to other people about your boundaries, so he could see your boundaries in action,
He seen clearly that, this is bullshit coming this way. So
right.
I'm going to address it. I'm not feeding into this.
Right.
And I want you to also not feed into this.
Thank you.
Because what you're doing is you're sending him mixed messages. And I'm here with him to make sure he has an understanding of what he's here for and what he need to get. I'm not pacifying. We didn't stick a pacifier in his mouth, No, we want him to be able to understand what he needs to do for himself. Even when he's wrong, he don't need to feel bad about it. He need to look at it from the point of view, how can I do this different? What did I do wrong? And how can I make this better?
Right.
And it's taught at an early age. But as we talk about this here, finding how to cultivate a relationship while maintaining independence. I'm sorry, the power of setting healthy boundaries. And that's what we're doing. We setting healthy boundaries. And we're not going to just talk about it, but he need to see it in action.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say most especially our young black men, because there's so much negativity out here, and it's so easy to gravitate to. And I don't need it. I don't need to even justify a reason for doing it. It's there. And that's that's the reason why it's there. So we can gravitate to the negativity, and we can have a million excuses. But that's not gonna help us in this lifetime.
We make it lightweight. We insult it. A lot of times people say, well, it is what it is. I said, no, it ain't is what it is. It is what you just made it. That was not how it could be. It didn't have to be that way.
And this is what you're talking about, how to build a support system that makes you feel right for you, and understanding this process. That's the most important. Because like I said, there's so much negativity out there I can gravitate to, to make me feel good.
Right. But not everything.
I gotta know the difference.
But your support system that feels right for you doesn't mean personally that it's an emotional feeling of goodness and I feel better and happy. It's a feeling that a boundary that has set. Boundaries have to have structure, all right? You build them. You from trial and error, you work at them. Okay, they have a structure, they have a cornerstone, they have support, all right? And a lot of times they don't feel good, but the idea, it's the thing you're supposed to do.
Because you can depend on it.
You can depend on it, I'm not telling my son, you messed up, but that's okay. The teacher thinks you're cute. So you feel better now because she told your dad that you feel cute and you want to smile about it. I said, the hell no. You smile about that. There ain't nothing to smile about. You did wrong and you know what you're supposed to do. If you do right, then you get less of me telling you how to do your structure right, build your structure right. You know, and the reason I liked my father and my karate instructor, because everything they taught you, they said, learn how it works, understand how things work, the fundamentals of it, how you deal with people, how you deal with yourself, understand you.
That conversation, just knowing, having that alone time,
Mm-hmm. True,
just having.
true.
Yeah, that goes to show us how important it is, because it gives me an opportunity to reflect on things that that's healthy and not healthy, and
Yeah.
then I can move from there.
But Anthony, real quick about what you said, but you also looking at that alone time, looking at yourself, all
Right,
right? But
right.
when you in
That's
a
what I'm
but
saying.
when I know I'm agreeing with you, but also when you're in a situation like a fatherhood, you also get to look at your relationship with your child that day.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. How did you help build him? Did you give him something supportive that day? So you're looking at more than just yourself too.
You know something? One thing that I think always stuck with me, when I do now, that I didn't get when I was a kid, is to be able to have that conversation, like what you did. You
Mm.
said you sit down and you talk to your kid. That was one of the things that, I felt like when I was coming up, I didn't get, as a father. If I something I didn't understand, I was left in the position where it was always doubt. And, I had to make up my own mind and do it. Once I got older, I had a better understanding. But now I take the time and have that conversation with mine. Talk to him. Let them know this is how I feel. This is just my opinion, But at the end of the day, you gotta come up with your own idea. I'm just having a conversation with you. We just putting it out there. I want you to be able to look at the big picture. Don't look at what makes you feel good, but look at the whole picture. And you have to make an assumption, not an assumption. You have to come to a conclusion of how you want to function with this, how you're going to handle this.
Yeah.
But having a conversation makes it a thing. And one of the things I did when older kids, I do it now, that I always, when they did something, I always sat down, got eye level with him, and I talked to him about what I was going to do. Because, I know I caught my son doing some stuff that I told him don't do, so we went in his room and I talked to him. I might have said this before, but we had this conversation out in the bed. We had a talk. We sat in there, and, and I explained to him, we had this, but what he was doing. So, he turned around and told me, say, "I'm gonna still get a whooping." I said, "Yes, you gonna still get one." I needed to make sure you understand what I mean. When I say something, this is what I mean. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I don't hate you, but I want you to understand this is not what you're supposed to be doing.
The whipping is the result of your action. It's like everything in your job. You get fired, you get mad. You got to understand the result of why you got fired. All
So you
right.
can't look at a piece of it. You got to
So
look at all of it.
you got to look at the whole. Yeah, you really do. You really do.
And that relates to this question. I know we've run short on time. Why do men struggle with finding a balance between solitude and community?
Because we're men. And I'm not getting into a debate with a woman about why I'm a man, but a man because we have different struggles. One, not only do you have to build support your family, your relationship with your family has to be a certain way once you get into a certain position in your family. When you just a man and a woman, that's one thing. When you a man and a woman and a kid, now you got a family. Your position changes. All
It
right.
does.
Now you got a job, a man, a woman, a family, and you got a next door neighbor in the neighborhood. Like I told you the time when my kid and I we would live in a apartment complex in Colorado, and the people will come to me to help find their kids when they come home in time because they say, we see you with your son, we know your family, you're in positions you don't even know in the community, and how you carry yourself, the community accepts you even if you don't have conversation with them.
Yeah.
It's just how you carry yourself.
It's true.
And, you know, and you're being put in a situation you didn't ask to be put in. But you have to understand you did somewhat.
But that's what you put out.
Right.
You put out a respect.
Right.
And the amount of respect for yourself, and then the consistency that you do with that, you know, that reflects on other people. Now, other people might come to their own conclusions, or they want to twist stuff so they can see it a different way. I got to learn to be okay with that too. Because
you do.
When it comes to boundaries, like I say, I carry a broom with me. And when it gets to the point, I know how to sweep their shit over there and say, hey, that's your shit. This is my shit. Yeah. Handle yours. Now, if you ask for my opinion, I'll render it. But if you don't, I mind my goddamn business.
Yeah.
Keep this shit. It's real simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And so it's difficult, but even then, you need time for yourself. You got a lot. It's difficult. It's a struggle because you got to just think about your day, and you think about the people who you're responsible for's day too.
Yeah, and you know, and like you said, if it's just you, then you can do it any kind of way you want to.
Right.
But if it's just you and your other half, you know, okay, I got to include them in there. But then if I got kids into that, you know, I also got to include them in there. So that means that my time for me might even be shortened. So when I do take that time for myself, it has to be meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't just say I wasn't. You made a point. A point, and we're out of time. But we can get into
as always.
as always. But I'm going to go over 30 seconds. I'm going over 30 seconds. I don't care.
Do your thing. And don't say I stopped you from talking.
I'll talk about that next time. You made the point that your father didn't give you a lot of conversation. My father never gave me a lot of conversation. He did a lot of do this, don't do this. You see what happened, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't until I was much older and he saw me at a certain age now then he started having conversation with me. But it took a while. It took a while to get to that point. But I started earlier with my son because I missed when I was always say, how come daddy don't talk to me? How come I don't have, but I didn't want my son to be left out like I was when I was younger.
Hey, before you go, I got one more thing for you. If today's conversation spoke to you, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to take that next step in your personal healing and growth, connect with us. We're here to help. You can find us at www.garnettcounseling.com. Your story matters. Your healing matters. And we'll be honored to be part of your journey. You say that keep the conversation going. You know, it wasn't an issue. It wasn't his issue. It was my issue. And I didn't have the know-how to understand that until I got much older.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Right.
And I'll say today, anything, there's a lot of things my father, I felt like he didn't do what I felt like he could have done, but I'm going to still say he's a great man.
Yeah. How was he raised?
Yeah.
What was his environment?
And that's my point. You know, I know in his heart, he meant well, but he did things the way he knew, you know, and I got to learn to respect that, you know. And once I got older, I understood where he was coming from. Our relationship was good.
And forgive that.
Yes. And you move forward. That was a learning point for me.
Yeah, for the both of us. It really was.
I just wanted to add that tidbit in there.
You see how I give him the first word and last word? I'm just too good to you, man. I'm too good to you. All right, guys. But thank you for being with Mended Men. My name is Titus Garnett.
And Anthony Washington. It was a pleasure.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Mended Men Conversations. If something we shared resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Remember, healing is a journey and you don't have to walk it alone. Stay connected with us. Subscribe to the podcast and join the conversation online. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep building your legacy.